Hey guys, what's up? Erna here with something a bit different today. A friend of mine shared a guide, um, which is basically the best Sega Saturn games ever made. It's a guide by Time Extension by Damien McFerrin. And I figured, since I grew up with this console in a time when everybody else in Portugal was going with the PlayStation, somehow went with the Sega Saturn. So I felt perhaps I was qualified to basically use that knowledge and give you an opinion about this guide, about this list, and maybe give a couple of recommendations of my own. And at the end, maybe make a top 10 list of my own. Not necessarily with the best Sega Saturn games, but with my 10 favorite Sega Saturn games. So I'll be leaving that at the end. Anyway, before we go through the list, I just got to mention two games. I got to mention Dark Savior. This was not on this list. I'm just going to spoil that now. I have no idea why. This is basically the spiritual successor to Landstalker. It's a great game. In my opinion, every bit as good as Landstalker. Um, Maybe they didn't include it because I'm going to show you here. The controls are kind of clunky and the camera is not great. It takes a lot of getting used to, so maybe that's why some people don't like this game. But just let me tell you that once you get used to it, there's no turning back. You will never put this game down. It's a beautiful game, a lot of fun, and very, very, very addictive. This should have been on the list because this is easily a top 20 on a Saturn, perhaps not a top 10 um, game, but still, it's a contender to be up there. Clockwork Knight, the same. Again, the Saturn doesn't really have that many great platformers. I remember this series having like a couple of very, very good games, very solid in their design overall. So, I mean, I think this should have been in the top 20 for sure. Don't really know where, maybe number 12, 13, doesn't really matter. But still, Clockwork Knight is a game that should be in most lists of best Saturn games for sure. Um, Anyway, for the list itself, I just want to say something. I'm gonna skip over most Japanese games. I know that's crazy. I know a lot of people are already dropping a dislike right now. It doesn't really matter. The reason I'm doing this is because these games have no nostalgic value to me. So it wouldn't be fair to compare these games to other games that basically defined who I am as a gamer. It's not fair. I would have to rate them in a vacuum. Games like Radiant Silvergun and stuff like that, I wasn't exposed to them until much later when I had different standards, when I was into different consoles. So my list is going to be a bit different from most lists out there in that it's going to be Western focused library of games, basically focused around Europe. Um, so, I mean, let me just get that out of the way before anything else. So let's skip over this one and go to the Oliarch. My favorite JRPG on the system. Again, crazy, I know. Um, this is first-person perspective, great dungeons, great soundtrack, great gameplay, very quirky. The voices are, kind of iconic. I personally love them. Um, it's basically a very, very good Shining game. If you liked Shining in the Darkness, you're going to like this one for sure. It's my favorite JRPG or traditional JRPG on a console. So top 10 material. Guardian Heroes, another one, top 10 material as well. Probably the single best game on the platform for me. Very good side-scrolling, like kind of like beat 'em up or slash 'em up, I suppose would be more correct. Um, you can switch lanes and stuff like that. This one has amazing story with great humor in it, absolutely fantastic humor. Um, it's a beautiful game, great gameplay. It's probably a game that you could show to anyone today and they will still love it. So this should be on the list and very high on the list. Panzer Dragoon Saga. This is the game that almost everyone thinks is the best JRPG ever. This was a late release, so it doesn't really have as much nostalgic value to me. Um, I mean, surprisingly, this wouldn't make my top 10, but let me just say this. If you go to any other top list, any other 10 top list by any other YouTuber or website, you're going to find this game in the top 3, probably as number 1. Straight up, this or Radiant Silvergun are going to be number one on almost every list. There's not much variation when it comes to Saturn lists, and once you see one of them, you've basically seen them all. Mine is not going to be like that in this game, this amazing game, and I agree, it's an amazing game with a lot of depth. It's not going to be in my top 10. Still, yeah, it's very expensive now, but if you can, check it out because it's a very deep JRPG. Burning Rangers, good game. Putting out fire, it's very fast paced. I like it. Sega Rally Championship, best racer in the platform, in my opinion. Very solid in the arcade, very solid in the Sega Saturn. Top 10 material. Shining Force 3, top 10 material. Amazing strategy RPG. All the things that make Shining the Holy Ark basically so endearing make this game endearing as well. Very good design. It's very incomplete though in the West. I remember thinking, where the hell is Part 2? Shining Force 3 Part 2 never came, as far as I know, to Europe. I'm sure it exists in Japan, and you can probably play it with translation patches, but as it stands, it's an incomplete game. Still, even then, it's top 5 material easily because it's a very, very good strategy RPG. Virtua Fighter 2, very good fighter. The first one felt very floaty, and this one feels less floaty. It feels more smooth, as they say here, in terms of gameplay. Very good character design, even with the spike here and stuff like that. Very good character design. I am not really a fighting game expert, but still, this is one that I would definitely play on the arcade and on the Saturn. Bomberman, great single player, even better multiplayer, good party game. Everybody can learn how to play this game. Good game. Worldwide Soccer, very good game, very good football game, one of the best sports games on the platform. Still, there was a problem with this game where you could basically score every single time if you shot from somewhere around here. I remember finding that out and, having to force myself not to exploit the game and shoot from the midfield and basically score every time. But if you don't do that, it's an amazing game. So don't exploit the game and you'll have a very good experience. Symphony of the Night, one of the games that defined the PlayStation for me. I used to play this with my friends. Perfect soundtrack, perfect visuals, almost perfect gameplay. Basically amazing game. But to me, it defines the PlayStation, which I used to play with my friends, not the Saturn. Batsugan, gonna skip it. Elevator Action, again, a very solid franchise. Everybody likes Elevator Action, but again, gonna skip it on the Saturn. Princess Crown looks like Vanillaware. Vanillaware is always good, but gonna skip it. Sonic R. Some people like this game, or love this game, I should say. I personally did not like it. It was a bit of a disappointment to me, so wouldn't even make my top 20, let alone my top 10. Panzer Dragoon 2, okay. A bit better than the first Panzer Dragoon, in my opinion. You basically go around, shoot stuff from the sky, on rails, basically. Very good boss design. I can show you here. Doesn't look like much today, but back in the day it used to be beautiful. So, very good game, top 10 material. Garega, don't care. Virtual Cop 2, this game looked great in motion. Very good, scenes between the actual shooting parts. Still, you could probably change this with like something like House of the Dead if you prefer something a bit more creepy, because House of the Dead has like the stuff like jumping zombie frogs, if you can call them that, and stuff like that. That would be a bit more scary. Still, Virtual Cop is very, very solid, and the Saturn adds some very, very good light gun games. Fighters Mega Mix wouldn't make my list just because I would put Virtua Fighter 2 instead. This one has a bigger roster as far as I remember, but not for me. Sonic Jam, again, don't care because I care more about Sonic on the Mega Drive. The Mega Drive was basically the Sonic console for me. My cousins used to have it, not the Saturn. The Saturn was not a good Sonic console. Even the Dreamcast did better in that regard. Baku Baku, very solid puzzle game, very funny characters, story and stuff like that. Basically, just a good puzzle game overall. Night into Dreams, again, top 5 material. Very good game, one of the best games ever made by Sonic Team. I remember owning 2 different versions of this game. There was Nights into Dreams and then Christmas Nights. I think Christmas Nights was actually even better than this one, just because, it felt really good to play this game around Christmas, for hundreds of hours, like nonstop. You just go around, you just fly around, I should say, go through rings. You can speed up your character with like short bursts of speed, and it takes some getting used to, but once you do, it has a lot of room for improvement in terms of gameplay. Vampire Savior, everybody likes the character designs of this franchise, I suppose. I wonder why. But yeah, not for me. Daytona, I like Daytona. I like the soundtrack, which is great. It's iconic. Still, I prefer perhaps Sega Rally over Daytona, but you could go with either one because they're both very good games. Different, but very good. Again, Japan exclusive, don't really care. More Japanese shmups, I guess. You have a bunch of good Japanese shmups that stayed in Japan. Street Fighter Zero 3, don't care. I don't think it even came to Europe. Power Slave, not something I would think of as console gaming. This is more everything more related to Doom and stuff like that. I equate with PC gaming, not console gaming. So this would be more for a PC list. Um, Dragon Force, top 5 material for sure. I mean, very good strategy game. You have castles to conquer. You have like amazing battles with a bunch of units on the screen. Good story. Very anime-ish, very manga-ish. Um, it's basically like a game that I could recommend, and it actually holds up very, very well. So if you played this today, you would have a blast. So very good game. Again, more shmup goodness from Japan. Don't care. Virtual On, very good fighting game. You know, with mechs, you could hide behind stuff, use different weapons. Good game, very fast paced in a way. Um, Holds up well. Hyperduel, again, more shooting goodness from Japan. Assault Suit Linus, not something I would, think about when I remember the Sega Saturn. I remember more Cybernator from the Super Nintendo. Amazing game. I would go with Cybernator instead for one of my favorites lists. KO Flying Squadron, again, not something I really remember as being representative of the Saturn. I remember the Sega CD game more. But KO Flying Squadron is like, I like shoot 'em ups. I don't really like shoot 'em ups that much, but I like shoot 'em ups just for the cute aspect of them. And the KO Flying Squadron on the Sega CD was amazing. So I'm sure this one, since it doesn't reinvent the wheel, as they say, is probably also very good with a lot of, good cutscenes and stuff like that that usually represent this franchise. Um, Again, another Japanese exclusive. This one very good, actually. I love these Dungeons and Dragons games like Shadow over Mystara. They're very good. Dodonpachi, more shmups. Police Knots, a classic. A lot of people are going to put this at like number 2 or something on their best Saturn games list for sure, just because it's Kojima. It's basically very like reminiscent of something like Blade Runner. It's a good story that you're gonna need a translation patch obviously to play, but still, this one is considered by most people as representative of what the Japanese Sega Saturn actually is, and what the Japanese library actually provides. Metal Slug, again, love it, but not on the Saturn. King of Fighters, same thing. Sakura Wars, again, same thing. This is a very good franchise with like dating sim stuff and like role playing game, tactical role playing game stuff. The latest ones are more action-based, but these are very good games. But again, not something I would remember as being representative of the Sega Saturn in the West. So, in the end, let's go to good old Notepad. Amazing, amazing quality here, amazing production values here. I know. This is basically what I would put in my top 10 favorite Saturn games. I would put Shining the Holy Ark, Guardian Heroes. Guardian Heroes would take number 1 spot, actually. This is the best game on the platform, in my opinion, and my favorite. Then Sega Rally Championship, Shining Force 3, Virtual Fighter 2, Worldwide Soccer 98, Panzer Dragoon 2 or Zwei, Virtual Cop 2, Nights into Dreams, perhaps Christmas Nights, I don't know, and Dragon Force. These would be in random order. It's hard to put them to give them an actual number. These would be my top 10 recommended Saturn games. These are my absolute favorites. And if you want to experience the console like I did, from a more European or Western point of view, basically while ignoring the Japanese side of things, which just makes things more complicated, I suppose. If you want to have that feeling that I did way back in the day when I was a teenager, these are the 10 games that would give you I don't know, proper Saturn experience, and you could basically have almost everything that the console could provide. Number 11 could perhaps be Dark Savior, and number 12 Clockwork Knight, I suppose, but either one of those could bump one of these off the top 10. So I don't know, maybe Dark Savior would be a very, very serious contender for the top 10 as well. But anyway, these are my top 10 favorite Saturn games. I really, really like this list. Actually, I'm glad my friend ShiryuGL shared this. So check him out on YouTube if you can. He makes some great retro gaming and Switch related content here on YouTube. So I'm very, very, very glad that he shared this guide with me so I could go through it. If you like this kind of content, drop a like if you want. If you don't, don't bother. But make sure to leave a comment down below and tell me if you like this kind of format, if you like this kind of content, because as you guys know, I'm only here for the community and I'm only here for the interaction. So, as always, guys, just play a lot of retro games and stay awesome. And I'll be back soon. Erna out.